What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out what some consider to be the greatest angle amplifier of all time. This is the Special Edition. That's it. That's the name. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle. What I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar gear, I record it with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and hearing all sorts of dog noises in the background of every video, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so continuing Angle Month here at Belligerent Amateur Studios, we have the granddaddy of all angle amplifiers. This is the Angle Special Edition. This is the EL34 loaded model, and I have to be honest guys, I'm not that familiar with the Angle lineage. I don't know where this amp falls in the lineup or in the date range, like when it was manufactured. I really don't know much, if anything, about this amplifier. So let's literally just treat this as me playing through an amp that is really cool for me to have in my hands. I do, however, invite you guys to leave me the information that you have on this amplifier down below in the comments. I'm sorry I'm not more prepared for this. I just didn't have time to research much about this amp. I got it for a good deal. It's been hanging out here so I could use it for Angle Month. We're gonna do a couple comparisons, but I just wanted to get the playthrough up on the channel. I'm going to basically be exploring this amp with you guys here on camera for the first time because I have spent little to no time with this thing. I will say that it is one of the most punchy amps without an overdrive I have ever experienced. Like that intro clip, you guys know I love my overdrives and intro clips. I always have some sort of overdrive on. In the intro clip of this one, I did not have an overdrive, and it was plenty tight, plenty punchy. I only had the gain at about 2 o'clock on lead gain 1, and it was still saturated. And in fact, I think overdrives, this is kind of one of those older Angle style amplifiers. I don't know how old it is, but the older Angle style amps in my experience don't seem to like overdrives too much. They seem to be overly compressed with an overdrive, and it really thins them out and just gives them this kind of like harsh mid-range thing that just doesn't sound very pleasant. This amp kind of falls in that range. I noticed that it did well with a certain overdrive, which we'll get into here in a minute. But yeah, that's about all I got off the top of my head for this thing. So with all that being said, let's start playing through this amp, man, because we got a lot to dissect. This thing has multiple effects loops. It's got all sorts of switches over here. Like, I don't even really know where to start. We're gonna try and get a good tone out of it. For this intro, or for this demo, I am using my Balliger Typhon with the Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. Again, I had no overdrive on. The lead 1 setting, or the lead 1 channel. For that intro clip, we are going into my Mesa 1999 traditional cab, stock vintage 30s, SM57 on that V30, vintage 30. I literally feel like the top of my head is turning into mush right in front of the camera, so hope you guys are enjoying that. But yeah, let's hear that tone that we had in the intro clip again. We'll check this out with a couple different guitars and see what types of tones we can get out of it. I'm driving the tone bus, and you guys are coming for a ride. Here we go. All right, so I literally just did the video for the Angle Savage 120 Mark II. Definitely some similarities in this amplifier, but this amp has a way bigger low end on it, and it also seems to have more gain on the lead channels. Maybe I'm wrong there, but this thing is incredibly punchy, incredibly saturated. It's got a lot of compression, but in a good way. Like this, it's not like the Powerball 1. The Powerball 1 was not an amp that I enjoyed. I enjoy the compression and the saturation on this amp. I think it sounds really good without a boost out front. Let's turn that gain up a little bit. Yeah, if I was playing this amp blind, I would never guess that there's not an overdrive on in front of this thing. It is just so tight, it's unreal. Really digging that lead one without a boost, but let's go ahead, let's head over to the crunch channel and see what's on tap over there, because I really haven't explored that very much. I'm gonna grab a guitar with lower output pickups to see if we can get an actual crunch tone out of this thing. All right, so not too bad. That's with the gain at about half on the crunch channel. We've got the mids cranked up pretty high here. We've got the treble pulled back just a little bit. Let's put it right up to about noon. Let's add just a little bit more gain. Honestly, not a bad crunch tone at all. It is maybe just a tad bit muffled on the top end. Let's turn that ultra bright switch on. All right, so that ultra bright definitely lives up to its name. It's too bright. Let's turn just the crunch or the regular treble up. All right, so right there, that sounds actually pretty good. Let's turn that crunch gain up to max. So it definitely does the crunch thing, but let's go ahead and let's kick on that gain boost. Now, this Heritage H150 has Seymour Duncan Antiquities in it. These are a PAF style pickup, not a lot of output, so we're not gonna get a ton of gain or a ton of overdrive out of this guitar on this channel, but here's what we got with no boost out front. Still incredibly tight. It is just overall just a really tight amplifier. Let's turn on just a regular tube screamer, see how it handles that. Sounds cool, but I think we need something with a little bit more output. Let's try a guitar with active pickups and see if we can push this thing into some serious saturation on the crunch channel. All right, guys, so I have my LTD Black Metal Phoenix here with the Fluff Signature Fluence pickup in it. We definitely have some more output. Let's see if we can really push the front end with a really hot overdrive like the Lick Lamb King in Yellow. Nope, it doesn't like that. So you can only push it so far. Let's get back to that TS9 because that was actually sounding pretty good. Let's add a little bit more treble. right, so it gets pretty saturated. Not my favorite tone in the world, though. It's a little bit too crunchy. The mids are a little bit too, I don't know, they've got this weird breakup when you push the mids, and it's not my favorite thing in the world. But let's go back over to those lead channels, because I really think that that's where this amplifier shines, especially for the belligerent amateur audience. I really need to turn my volume down when I'm talking. All right, guys, so we're back over on lead 1. Let's get a little bit more bass in the signal. That Ibanez Tube Screamer is still on, and this channel seems to be taking an overdrive. Let's go ahead, let's turn that treble up just a little bit to get a little bit more bite. And if we need it, guys, there is a depth punch switch, but there is also a mega low switch. This amp just has leaps and bounds more low end than the Savage Mark II. That Balaguer again with the Duncan distortion in the bridge. That way we can see how it reacts to just a regular high output pickup. All right, so that is with both of these mid buttons engaged. There's a contour and there is a mid edge. Let's turn both of those off and let's see how it sounds. Without those on, we definitely have much more of a mid scoop thing going on. Let's actually pull those back and let's do a really scoopy tone. So kinda does that Metallica thing, but not really. It still has overall just a different voicing. Let's turn that Tube Screamer off though. Let's play directly into the amp. So it's not personally a tone I would go for, but I actually kind of like that. It's got a cool like guttural growl thing going on. Would be a cool layering tone. Definitely not my primary tone, but it does sound really, really mean. And again, that's with no overdrive and that's with the gain fairly low. Like let's go ahead, let's turn that gain up again. We still have the high gain button engaged. For my personal ear, like I'm used to the PV, the Mesa, the Soldano type high end, even the Marshall type high end where you get a lot of sizzliness, especially in the saturation. But with these Engel Savage models, I am noticing that it doesn't really sizzle. It doesn't really give you that high end sizzle like you're used to from amps like that. It's got kind of its own thing going on. So let's go ahead. Let's just kick in that contour only. All right, so let's turn the contour off. Let's turn just the mid edge on. All right, so the mid edge is kicking in an upper mid frequency with a very narrow band. Like it's not really pushing up too many frequencies at once, whereas the contour is kind of pushing the mids forward. In general, you kick them both on and here's what you have. Let's try a drop C riff with no boost again. Let's push that gain up. We're still on lead 1. Just for fun, let's kick in that mega low punch. I'm telling you right now, it is way too much. Like that is an obnoxious amount of low end. It's overloading the input on my interface. It is just way more than you should ever use. Not really sure what the purpose of it is because it just kind of takes it way over the top. Let's turn off the depth and let's see how it reacts. Let's go back to just the regular. So here is a drop C riff, no boost. Let's head over to lead 2 though and see the differences between lead 1 and lead 2. I've touched nothing. All I've done is switched over to lead 2 and the gain is set much lower. Seems like maybe there's a tiny bit more compression because the low end is punching a little harder and the top end is a little bit more rolled off and the gain is coming off faster, but that's really all I noticed. Let's turn that lead gain up. Let's get a little bit more treble. Yeah, this one just seems to be a little bit more muffled. Let's turn the channel volume down and turn the master up. All right, so doing that, I noticed that that brings out more of the top end frequencies that I like, and it also reduces the low end, low mid bloat that's kind of going on this channel. It kind of balances it out in my personal opinion. All right, not a huge fan of the voicing of this channel, in my opinion. The extra compression, the extra gain is really squashing that top end. Let's really roll that gain back and actually click that high gain button off. Much more open like that. Let's go ahead, let's kick on the lick larum drive and see how it responds to an overdrive. All of that huge punch that was there is now gone. So let's roll that lead gain back. Let's kick that high gain button in. All right, so now we've got our punch back. Let's actually dial in a little bit of high mid in front of this thing. We've already got the highs bumped up on this drive a little bit. Let's go into the most aggressive mode. All right, so if you really want that ultra saturated, ultra compressed thing, the lead 2 channel is where I think you need to be. For me, I think the best tones on this thing are on the lead 1. Let's go back over there real quick. Let's play one riff the way that we have it boosted, and then we will do a 7-string. All right, definitely liking lead 1 better, but again, when you boost lead 1, there's just this kind of like ugly mid-range breakup thing that becomes present. It's aggressive, it's cool, but it's not my favorite thing. Again, I think it would be really cool to layer it with some other sort of gain sound in order to get a really unique tone. But last but not least, let's check out that 7-string. All right, guys, so I have my Schecter PT Hellraiser Hybrid EMG 57 in the bridge. Let's play a little 7-string riffy. We are on lead 1. I have it dialed in as you see here, and here's what we got. right, guys, that's gonna do it for me today on the Angle Special Edition. What did you guys think about the tones I was able to dial in? And more importantly, what do you guys think about this amplifier? Those of you who know more about it than I do, those of you guys who actually have experience with this thing, again, this was just a glorified playthrough. This was not a review or even a demo in all reality. This was just me checking out the amp here with you guys on the channel. I'm gonna throw it to you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. How do you dial this thing in? And if you know the history and the lineage of this thing, I would love to hear it. And I'll meet you guys down there to chat about it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.